Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. We got a banger for you today. We got a great show for you today. So earlier this week, I managed to sit down and talk with one of our longtime playtesters for Warzone Eternal, and did a little Q&A session. And so that is what today's big event is the Q&A with a gamer, except it's Q&A with a playtester. We'll get into that in a second. Let's bust through the week in Bryan. I'm gonna kind of do it backwards today. I'm gonna do gaming to professional to personal, because there's some cool stuff with personal I want to talk about. Gaming. So I got to play in, let's see, last week. What did I manage to do? Play some Xbox, but also I got to play the Waking Realms homebrew D&D game, where I am the Capoeira Cat Monk. I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but I managed to talk our party into trying to get swallowed by a giant sandworm because it has eaten an arcane device that we need to get to move the story along. And so rather than gearing up and getting ready and fighting this thing like some kind of dragon, my character got it in his idea, somewhere in his brain, that, you know, if we could manage to get inside this thing, we could get the device and maybe get out again without having to fight the entire worm. I'm not sure what I was thinking, but I managed to convince everybody that it's the best idea. So we have a battle plan. We know what we're going to do, and on Friday we're going to execute it and hopefully not get ourselves all killed. So that's my big news in gaming. Additionally, I think this weekend is the next session of my wife's D&D game, Land of Monsters, where I am a Duergar cleric of the Forge. And cool thing is I have I'm working on trying to turn myself into kind of like a clerical cavalry man, but I ride around in a giant naked mole rat that we used the stats for the giant space hamster to create. So we'll see. A couple more levels, I'll actually be able to use him as like a war mount. Right now it's just kind of a tactically sound critter that can bite. That's really all the gaming. That's why I wanted to get the gaming out of the way, because, you know, next week is Adepticon. There's going to be a ton of gaming talk, but I kind of wanted to, you know, get that in and out of the way. Professionally, I wrapped up on a scenario that needed to get wrapped up on for the Play Renegade program over at Renegade Studios, or Renegade Game Studios, or Renegade Games Studios. I needed to get that wrapped up, which I did. Still waiting to hear back from the post editors and stuff as to whether or not I need to make any changes or anything, but I'm pretty confident that, you know, the Play Renegade scenarios are effectively like convention grade scenarios. They're designed to be one shots or like kind of inserted into your campaign. So I think it'll be okay. I'm confident that it'll be okay. Still getting a bunch of really good feedback from the Across the Stars and The Time Is Now PDF releases for Power Rangers and Transformers, respectively. Now, a couple of days ago, the core book for My Little Pony, Essence 20, dropped, and the fans have already picked out a few things that they really like about it. There's a few things that people have noticed about it. There's a few things that I don't know if I show you how the sausage is made, but occasionally, as a designer that's part of a team, you tell your other designers, you tell your other people, the people in charge, the developers and things, you tell them, hey, this this is going to be a problem. This is going to be needs to be changed. This is something that you're flagging as this could be an issue, and sometimes you get outvoted. Sometimes they say it's not going to be a big deal. There's not going to be that much crossover play with MLP and these other systems. Well, one of the things that I had flagged during the post-dev deliberating, one of the things that I had flagged has reared its head. Apparently it did not get changed. Apparently I did get outvoted in the post-production type stuff, and players in other licenses of Essence 20 are realizing a significant lack of balance in one particular element that I tried to get changed. So if you're part of that, and I hate to do the whole designer I told you so, but I did try. Just it got vetoed, it got outvoted, and now it's just something we have to deal with. So there you have it. This week, I also earnestly started. I mean, obviously, Warzone. We're ramping up on Warzone because Adepticon is next week. We're getting it to the point where we are as close to ready of like the final rules, so that way the people that are demoing at Adepticon, they are getting the most up-to-date rule set. Which I think is the smartest thing to do, especially knowing the Kickstarter is right around the corner. But more on that later. The work on the Shadowrun novel has slowed down a little bit because work on other things had to ramp up. I've got until the end of the year to finish the first of the novels for Shadowrun. I want to get them done earlier than that, but other things have kind of taken priority, including a new gig with Evil Genius Games, or Evil Genius Gaming. I reached out to them. One of my friends said, "Hey, they're looking for scenario writers," and I'm always looking for little short-term gigs, things like that. And I got to snag a little bit of work from them, and then a little bit of work turned into a little more work, and you're probably going to be hearing from me about them and the work that I'm doing with them for a while. Chances are pretty good that I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with Evil Genius. They seem to be a really cool company so far. I'm really enjoying the people I'm getting to work with and talk to. I definitely love the licenses that I'm working with. More on that in the future. But yeah, it's. I think that it's going to end up being a very cool, very big part of my career. But as of right now, it's really just, since it's brand new, I'm still kind of learning the systems that they use. I'm kind of feeling my way. Every company you work for is different. So there's always going to be some growing pains of figuring out, which computer programs that they use to monitor their contracts and their workflow, and, how hands-on are they for each individual piece of what I'm doing. That kind of thing. So, and then of course there's also just the rules involved with the various settings that you have to deal with. Each setting has its own parameters. Some are more strict than others. Some are more secretive than others. I will let you know as I can tell you about things what I'm gonna tell you about. It also sounds like, one way or another, I am adding Origins to my convention schedule this year. Either I'll be going with Warzone. We're trying to work out the details to get us a booth, but there was some communication issues between us and Origins. If I can be there for Warzone to push minis around at Origins, we will. If that falls through, if I can't make that happen, Evil Genius has already said that they would love to have me on staff to go ahead and peddle our wares and talk about cool stuff. So we'll see what we can see there. But either way, one way or another, I will be going to Origins. So probably know more on that in 2 weeks. I'll know more about that in 2 weeks. Let's get to the personal. Again, I'm sure you can tell by the pudginess of my face. Weight loss has kind of stalled completely. Just work stress has got me so messed up and focused on things. I have not focused on keeping myself on track when it comes to the whole low carb thing, or getting my workouts in or anything like that. I've been very focused on just keeping the house and everything afloat. We are pretty sure that the state of Indiana is going to recognize Natalie's disability very, very soon. Their automated service puts us at over 90% through the process. So hopefully any day now they'll tick those last few percentage points on, and we'll figure out what the heck's going on. I had to buy a super cheapy. I mean, this thing is garbage. The keyboard I bought, my former keyboard. It was dying on me pretty regularly. There was a fray in the cord that caused the power to basically go out on the keyboard. Like every so I'd be working, and then just suddenly nothing is coming onto the screen, so I had to reset it. And then most recently, the Y key would stick, and I would get like 3 or 4 Ys in a row when I would type. It was awful. It was awful. It was really slowing me down. So I junked it, and I went ahead and purchased, until I can get out to actually shop for a good one. I got just a cheap, literally hot garbage. I hate this keyboard, but it was like $10. So when I get a chance to breathe a little easier here in the next couple of days, I'll probably go to like Best Buy and shop for a decent one. Or if I get paid between now and then, I'll probably like go get a better one. The last time I bought one was like $60 or $70. It was decent. It was much decent. It lasted almost the whole year, and it was solid. It didn't have the smushy soft keys. This has got that smushy soft key feel. Yeah. But then let's see. So there's that. This week, while I did not, I got something in my eye. While I did not receive any Cash App stuff that I normally thank you guys for, I did get 2 very cool presents from fans across the pond over in the UK. They're both going to require a little bit of story, but one is going to be easier, and it's just kind of funny. So there is a group of Power Ranger fans that are playing in an online game called it's called Let There Be Thunder on Twitch. Every Thursday they play. They've been playing for a long time. I think they're on their God, they've got to be on at least, I think, a year's worth of videos maybe at this point. But either way, they're awesome. They're having a great time. It's a lot of fun to watch them play. I've tried to jump in on their streams when I can, but Thursdays tend to be a pretty busy day for me. The game master for that is a gentleman by the name of Matthew, and he's an amazing guy, and he's one of our moderators on Discord. He's just an all-around great guy, and he's been a very big kind of cheerleader for the Essence 20 system as a whole, but Power Rangers in particular. And when Across the Stars PDF dropped last week, or that we were getting ready for the Across the Stars PDF to drop, I mentioned that there will be physical copies available at Gen Con for people to buy, and in passing I said something about signing any of them if anybody wants, and for the longest time, ever since I originally leaked that Gold Rangers were going to be a thing in Across the Stars, Matt fell in love with the Gold Ranger, and he loved him to death. He was like, I want to know what they do. I love the idea. I love the Gold Rangers. And then he played in my charity stream for Power Rangers, where I made sure that he got that he had a Gold Ranger available to play as one of the pre-generated characters, and it only cemented his love even more. So when I mentioned that there would be copies for Across the Stars to be signed, he said that although he could not be there present, because getting from the UK to Gen Con is an expensive thing for a gamer, for anybody actually, that he wanted to make sure that I had enough of a particular type of Sharpie to sign Across the Stars with. So he sent me a overseas package of 12 gold Sharpies. So I will 100% make sure that every day I have got a gold Sharpie in my pocket, in my pouch, I'll bring a couple of them to the Renegade room and have them sitting there waiting. I will make sure that I have these, and unless disaster strikes, anytime that I sign in Across the Stars at Gen Con, or any other book that people ask, gold is going to be my autograph color at Gen Con, and I have Matthew to thank about that. So Matthew from Let There Be Thunder, thank you. This is going to be super rad. Every time I sign something with one of those goldies, I will think of the best fancy yellow ranger that there is. All right. And the other thing I got in the mail this week that I was not expecting, and it's actually it's from another one of the Let There Be Thunder Rangers. I open up this package, and first off, sending something this heavy from the UK could not have been cheap. So thank you, by the way. But so it came in a wormwood box, and I picked this up, and it's heavy. I mean, like it's got weight to it. And so I'm sitting here going, okay, weird. I wonder what this is. Why would someone from the UK send me wormwood? And so I open up the box, and on top there's this note, and I'm going to read this note to you. Dear Bryan, this is just a short note of thanks and appreciation for everything you've given us all, everything you do, and the joy you bring to all of our worlds. My only hope is that this gift brings you some of the joy that you bring to our tables. Thank you again. May the power protect you, Jay, also known as Blue Stripe Leader in Discord and all that sort of thing. Jay is one of the players in Matt's game. He is also very, very vocal on the Power Rangers Discord community. And very early on, he had posted pictures of these cool poker chips that he was using to do story points and personal PowerPoints and things for the characters at the table, so they would have just an easy reference, and they wouldn't have to sit there and erase things on their sheets and you just had them right there. And I had said, I was like, that's really cool. What a great idea to have a physical, manifestation at the table, a physical prop, so you know exactly what you've got. The GM can know. Like, I can look at the table and see, okay, this guy's got 3, this guy's got 2, this guy's got 4. And it comes to story points, I can show exactly how many the team has. It's a great idea. I love that. I love that as a concept. I love using like gamer props. And so I told him, I was like, that's really rad. And he had asked way back when, he was like, is this something that you would use? And offhandedly, I was like, absolutely, that'd be great. I didn't even think about it. And then I opened this up, and there is a giant collection of these Mighty Morphin Power Ranger poker chips in various colors. So they're in the regular core colors, Pink Ranger, Green Ranger, Blue Ranger, Yellow Ranger, White Ranger, or maybe Silver Ranger, Black Ranger, Red Ranger, and then there's this big section of orange that the Orange Rangers aren't out yet, but You could always use them for orange rangers or use them for story points. And then there's like a little collection of off colors that the game master could use for his story points or things like that. They're really cool, and they all have this Mighty Morphin Power Ranger logo on. It's not the official logo, but it obviously MMPR. It's got the little lightning bolt, but it's very, very cool. So Jay, thank you so much. I was not expecting this. I completely forgot that we had even talked about that. And I always love getting gifties and things, and stuff pops in from the Amazon wish list, or stuff stuff comes in on the Cash App, whatever. That's fine. That's nice, and I enjoy it. But things like this, where you obviously had thought things through, things like the gold Sharpies, and where this really does have kind of a background and a meaning, and something that shows that not only are you watching my show and interacting with me on Discord or whatever, but you have that extra thought, that extra thoughtfulness of, I remember this. That's awesome. So again, thank you to everybody, but specifically this week to Matt and Jay, because that means a lot. My heart sang when I opened these packages. Yeah, so I think that is pretty much it with the before. So, like I said earlier this week, I got a chance to talk to Averkios, one of our playtesters, and I recorded it. We had a great time, and there was a small technical difficulty with the connection between here and Greece, apparently. But for the most part, I think the video is solid and stays constant. But it's a good interview talking with a playtester, give you an idea of kind of what it means to be part of the Warzone process without actually being part of the Warzone design team. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go to that video. Hello, everybody. You just saw me a second ago in the intro, but I get to bring to you a new face to the show with this episode of Q&A with a Gamer. Today being Q&A with a playtester. This would be our dear friend and playtester for Warzone Eternal, Averkios. I'm not even going to try and do your whole last name. We're just going to say Averkios. Obviously, he's coming from the other side of our fine planet, all the way from Greece, I think you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, he's doing us a favor by jumping on this video super late at night for him. I'm glad that we're getting this chance to talk with Avi and get a little sneak preview of what it's been like to be part of the Warzone Eternal process, so to speak. So I've got questions, as I do, for these interviews, and we're gonna try not to spring anything on you that you aren't ready for. But for the viewers at home, I do want to make sure that you know that. So Avi's been with us since pretty much day one of playtesting. He's been here. Playtesting outside of Alex and myself and like the locals. When it comes to the external playtesting stuff that we've done, Avi's been here pretty much the whole time. So he has seen a lot of changes and renditions and versions and units and models. In fact, he has seen things that are going to be even beyond the realm of the Kickstarter. So keep in mind that what he has to tell you today is strictly from a playtesting standpoint, and all things are subject to change. Blah blah blah, except for his opinions. Obviously, I'm not going to browbeat him into whione faction capital is better than anyone else. It's I don't have to do that, which is totally not true. I'm not even like I like Capital, but I'm not even. That's not my favorite faction. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll start off with the the easy stuff. What is your gaming background? Like, what brought you into gaming?
Right. So first of all, thank you for having me yourself. I appreciate it. It's a bit weird because usually you're in this monitor when I'm painting stuff, but now I'm talking to you, which is amazing. So gaming background, like I started gaming when I was like very young, when my dad got me a Sega Mega Drive, like this cartridge console for the TV back in the day. And then a little bit of Super Nintendo, blah blah. And then like around 12 years old, I got into the world of D&D. I think I still have the book in Greek.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
it's very it's very fun. It's very funny. So I started getting third edition D&D,
Okay.
and then started a bit of Magic the Gathering, a bit of 40K. I started with Eldars back in third edition. And then as I started to grow up and go through my edgy teenage phase, I found out about World of Darkness. I was like, ooh, vampires and werewolves,
Excellent.
ooh,
Excellent.
and it just went full on edgelord from there. Like everyone's been through the phase. I'm
Oh,
not going to even hide
there
it.
are so many gamer Venn diagrams that cross just like that. I played
Oh
40K
yeah,
for a little while, and then I LARPed for a little while, and I found Vampire, and now I play Changeling. Yeah, no, absolutely.
that was very fun process. And then I found Warzone from Resurrection. My other playtester, he's been playing Warzone since like second edition or something. Like he's been
Awesome.
on. He brought me into Warzone. I was like, I fell in love, and we played a lot of Mutant Chronicles RPG.
Okay.
From like we found Modiphius, but I also found like copies from the older books, and of course lots of board games like Blood Rage, Valor and Villainy, Tiny Cat
Oh, cool.
Dungeons.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a blast. Betrayal, Feed the Kraken. Like there's so many board games out there, so little time.
One of my close buddies loves Feed the Kraken. I have never played it.
You should.
Is it really good?
Like if you can get 9 people around a table, oof, it's so much fun.
Awesome. All right. Like my buddy Brian, another Brian, he swears by it. He actually had me 3D print a bunch of little ship tokens or something. Like I said, I've not played the game. I don't know what they're for. He just sent me the files and was like, print these things for me. And I said, okay, what's this for? And he said, it's for Feed the Kraken, and they love it. So yeah, no, I'll look into that.
It's a very fun game.
Awesome.
Very fun.
Question number two. You actually said that almost kind of bled into that one. When did you get involved with Warzone originally? Now you said that one of the playtesters part of your playtesting group um, has been around since the old Target Games days, and you got in the kind of the Resurrection years. But how long ago was that? Like, because I know that Resurrection had there was a gap there where it was being
I
played
think
a lot, but it wasn't being produced. Like there was still a lot of stuff going on.
yeah, Resurrection was a bit of starting and stopping. Like there have been some Kickstarters. The minis were amazing. Like I really liked it. I really liked the minis. Um, I liked also the rules. Like it was very fun because you could do so many things with the rules. And yes, my one of my best friends, he got me a book, like the beginner box from Mishima. It's like, yo,
Okay.
take this, check this out. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. And I started, like reading the books, and then I was like, oh, there's different factions, and so I got like Cybertronic and Brotherhood, and I realized like there was a huge universe, and I was completely unaware of this.
It's and it goes back a long ways. Like the Mutant Chronicles, they go way back into the Wayback Machine, and I remember reading some of those original stories, those original like Dark Eden stories from Matt Forbeck, who now is a friend of mine, which is hilarious because when I was reading his stuff when I was little, I was just like, he's a really good author. And now, like he's one of my buddies. And I had mentioned, that I'm part of the Mutant Chronicles world now. Like I'm actually part of the company that's bringing the game back. And he was like, that's pretty cool. And I tried to get him to do some fiction for us, but he's really, really busy.
Okay.
He like Matt. I aspire to have Matt's career. he's the kind of guy that Disney and Marvel like knock on his door and go, "Hey, we've got this thing that we need you to do. Is that cool?" Like I would love for that to happen, for my doorbell to ring and have it be someone with a Marvel contract. It's like, we need you to write a thing. So yeah, he's a little busy right now, but he did mention that he's like, if he finds a gap, he'd love to be part of the world again. So that might be something cool that we can bring into effect in the future. Hopefully, maybe.
That'd be awesome. That'd be super cool.
He's a great author. He's a great guy, and he really understands that. I don't want to call it grimdark because that's the 40K word, but that kind of that sort of like diesel fantasy, that where everything's kind of grimy, but then you look at like Luna City and like there's still aristocrats and there's still people in charge that are fancy. You got Cardinal Duran and his big old head, like I shouldn't make fun of the Cardinal. I'm sorry, sir. Number 3. What brought you to want to playtest specifically for Warzone Eternal? Like, how'd you end up getting involved with us as a playtester?
Yeah, so I remember like when Resurrection stopped, it was just when they started leaking the Kirkwood document, and it had some really cool ideas in. And we started, like with my other buddies, we started, creating our own stuff. And then it stopped, and we kept playing. Like the local community was still very active. And after a couple of years, there's been this new Warzone is coming back kind of vibe, and I was like, "Ooh, this is cool." And then I saw a couple of your videos, and like especially your interview with Alex is when we realized that I want to go there. I want to try this. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this because, frankly, and I'm not trying like to kiss anyone's boots, but I really like the attitude like you both have, and like the respect you have for the original game, but not sticking back, but trying to evolve, like bringing new innovations in, like both rule wise and in the aesthetic. And I was like, I like this respect. I want to try to do my part of it as much as I can.
If there is one thing that I can say about Alex, so because I played in first and second edition. I never played Resurrection. That I missed that boat. I was part of a completely different franchise at that time. But Alex has been a fan of the Mutant Chronicles since the very beginning. He's played, at least in part, everything. Like he has loved that. There are things where, even as a writer, as someone I've done my research to know what I'm writing, to know the stories, to get the feel for the units that I'm designing. There are times where Alex will, like in our weekly meetings, he'll hop on and go, "Oh, hey, I had to alter the equipment on the Martian Banshee Sergeant because they don't have this, they get this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Little things that I might not know. But he's the one that goes through and does the first round of spot editing on all the fiction. He knows. Alex is probably one of the biggest Mutant Chronicles fans on the planet, because I mean honestly, that's the reason why he sought this license out in the first place. Is he wanted to bring back kind of this thing that he loved in some capacity. It really is his love letter to the license is this whole thing. So I absolutely understand the way you say you heard it from us. I get that same feeling when I listen to Alex talk about the license. When I hear him spin a tale about stuff, I eat it up. I'm like, oh my God, you're so excited for this. He has to keep me in reins because I want to make more minis than we have the capacity for all the time. Like I'm ready to have 10 books out like next year. but that's just not feasible. That's just not possible. Uh, Whereas he's got the spirit of he wants this game to he wants everybody who opens this game to have that same sort of kind of that warm cockles of the heart feeling that he has when he thinks about the license. He wants that to come out of them too. So I respect him a great deal, even if I think sometimes he's a pessimist about our ability to get these things out so quickly.
No. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Exactly.
I'm sure. I think I saw when our groups like send our NDA, we received like version 4 of the rules, if I'm not mistaken. It was a very exciting. It was a very exciting night. It was a very exciting night. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's awesome. I love to hear. I mean, we'll get into some of the playtest stories here in a little bit, but I love hearing, for the people who are watching that aren't privy to the playtester secret rooms, that it's so much fun to hear when someone comes back and plays the game and says, "This is what happened." This is how, even if it turned out that it highlights something that we need to change with the rules or that we need to tweak with a unit or something like that, even if that's the end result, it's still fun to hear how their games went. And more often than not, I don't think I've had any playtest report that I've received through email or on the secret group or anything like that. I don't think I've had anybody straight up say, I had a miserable time. Like, I put my models down and I never want to play this particular scenario again or anything. It's always been, yeah, maybe we should change this, or yeah, maybe this unit needs some tweaking. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody straight up just say, I hate the way things are right now. And that means a lot to me as a designer, and I know it helps the playtest process along if you have something constructive to work from, and it's not just this is terrible. Yes. No. Anything else, please?
That's not the case here. And what I like, one of the things I like is that every single unit, like, it matters. Like, you can have one dude or dudette or anything in between, and they can make a difference.
Yeah.
Even if they're like the cheapest unit you can buy for a faction, they, like, especially if the dice gods love you a bit more, they can make some denting hits. I can say that.
I had the luckiest basic trencher in one of my playtest games recently. I survived 2 full rounds of activations against a Shadow Walker.
Oh, wow.
I sat there. He's just hunkered down. He's like, pull my hat down over my head. Please don't kill me. It was a combination of Chris's bad dice and my fantastic armor saves. And it was the fact that my dude walked away from it at all was, it was just a stellar moment. And I won't ever forget that little guy. That little guy, he's a brave fella. All right, question number 4.
Yeah, let's go.
You mentioned the Mishima book. What is your faction of choice? And more importantly, why?
So, probably I'm gonna go for Mishima again because it's tradition now. Like, my first MC character was Mishima, my first army was Mishima. But because I like the aesthetic, and like there's this neo feud system. Feudalism? What's the English word?
Yeah, neo-feudalism.
Yeah. Like, there's this very strict class system, which is like very backwards, but we are very far in the future. But nothing is like there is honor and there is not, because you are like in a corporate environment, and corporate espionage.
They are they are that perfect combination of irony. I love the ironic. It is not lost that they instituted this concept of Bushido and this concept of the samurai culture to try and bring their people together for the corporation, except when you look at it, all they're doing is drawing deeper lines in the sand between the haves and the have-nots.
Exactly.
And it's perfect. It is an amazing, and from their perspective, they're not even doing it on purpose. They're not like, there's not like some kind of like evil mustache twirler up at the top of the, yes, the daimyos aren't like,
Yes, yes.
yes, perfect. They think they're doing the right thing by their people by setting this up, but all it does is it creates even bigger lines, and the fact that their baseline, translating into the troops, their baseline troopers, those Ashigaru, they're not great. They wear almost nothing. Their rifles are adequate.
Pea shooters.
Yeah, they do okay in numbers, and that's the kind of thing that like I love, because from a narrative perspective, those high end corporate executives, they see that as the people are really rising up and doing what they're doing their part. They're
What it should be,
upholding the
yeah.
corporate way. And from the Ashigaru's point of view, they're just kind of hoping that one day someone's going to come by and pick them out of the crowd and go, come join a better unit, man. You need to get rid of that. Those trousers that you're wearing. Here's some armor plating. Like.
But like, if I could have like a new start in the User Chronicles, I would probably go with Cybertronic, because it's like this transhumanism, like fighting Dark Legion with like their own stuff, like implants, and
maybe
it's not the same.
It's totally different.
It is, but you know what I'm saying, because like in User Chronicles, like the dark symmetry is corrupting like all technology, and Cybertronic is like, we're gonna build better technology, son.
Yeah, we're just gonna circumvent it. How are you doing that? Don't ask. There's a very big brain in a jar somewhere that's gonna tell us how to do this.
The Immortal is like, yes.
So no, question 5. Do you have a favorite unit that you like to field during your playtests? Like, not necessarily that it's the most the most powerful unit, or it's gotten you the most wins or the least losses, but just like the one that you like to see on the field when you're playtesting.
So I like fielding the Shinobi a lot, because there's some very fun stuff you can do them. They have like this mechanic where like their movement is very good. You can travel like in 3D space. Very like, if you have verticality in your table, which you should, you can do.
It helps.
It helps. It makes them really shine, because like they have a sniper option, which is very good, but have a CQP option, which is also very good, and they have like a smoke screen which can protect themselves and their allies. So they're like, overall they're very good.
Yeah,
they're not as heavily armored as like the Brethren Hatamoto, but they're close enough. They're good.
They do okay.
Yeah, but also I love like playing with Venusian Rangers.
Okay.
Like, it's a completely different game style. Like, you can hunker down and start picking them from apart. Probably they can see you even.
Yeah, I was like, playing Bauhaus is a when you're used to some of the. I've been doing a lot of Imperial playtesting lately, and the Imperial is just such such inaccurate, but their bullets are the size of softballs. They hit like a truck. And then I go and play Bauhaus, and it's such a different feel of, my guys really aren't missing very often. I'm on point. I know what I'm doing here.
And the blitzers as well. They're like they're proper commandos. Like, you don't want to mess with these guys.
Yeah,
because they're gonna push you.
They're
gonna push you hard. But I cannot pick only one, because I'm trying to playtest with my group all of the factions.
Okay.
And we're trying to like break it a lot of times. Like, we're trying to make the engine break as much as we can,
which is what we need. We're at that 11th hour on the rules, where most of the things that we're finding are just little tweaks, little adjustments here and there, and a couple of them have been pretty widespread. Like, we found a few things. You guys have found a few things that Alex and I, in our weekly meetings, will sit down and go, all right, this might, there might be a little, we're hearing this from multiple groups. We're hearing, this isn't just a corner case. This isn't just someone being, I'm going to be the most competitive I can be. This is something that could be an issue. And we take a look at the way to, that's normally when, before you guys see it, I normally have to get a couple of games in before I even tell Alex that it's a possibility. Or Alex will send me an email that'll say, I think I have the perfect solve for this, and then we talk it out and throw some models on the table and see where it goes. I think you particularly will be pretty happy with. I don't know when Alex is putting out the next revision, but the Hatamoto are getting a little bit of a.
Ooh.
The Hatamoto are getting some love.
Good. They need a bit of love.
They need some love. A little bit.
The Attilas were fun. The Attila were fun. The Attila were a lot of fun. Like they are slow. They are very slow, but they can punch you very hard. They can shoot you very hard.
Yep.
And you can hide a chaser behind them.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, and with the special Cybertronic ability, you can have an Attila standing out front and just taking reaction shots for half of your team.
Oh yeah. She's gonna be mowing down everyone.
Yeah,
but they're slow. But
they are big and pokey. Question 6. What is your favorite rule, or kind of like a specific aspect of the rules? Like, is there something that has stood out to you as particularly Warzone Eternal that you go, this is going to catch people. People are going to love this.
Okay, so like my favorite kind of mechanic of the game is the wound system.
Okay.
Because it is a bit of RNG because you're playing with dice, but you can have a model like a very a trencher who is a one wound model, but they can survive 2, maybe 3 if they're very lucky.
They might take a couple of hits and be okay.
Yes, you can get wounded, but it doesn't mean you're out. It's like a bit of infinity where you can go to unconscious state, but you're still conscious. You're just trying to keep everything together for the medic.
Oh, I was gonna say medic is that. So one of the things that the medic ability or first aid in Warzone Eternal that has in other games, medic has always made me crazy. Because you look at 40K, the apothecary doesn't actually heal wounds. It just it gives you a better saving throw to avoid being wounded. In a game that I used to run, Dark Age back in the day, our medics, it kept you alive on the table if you were nearby a medic, but that leaves kind of a weird sort of you kind of that logic loop of. So other models just die because there doesn't happen to be a doctor nearby. Okay, and then there's even games where medics bring people back from the dead. Literally, if I have a medic, I do my power, and you get 3 dudes back in the unit. We wanted to make sure that medics felt like medics. That there was a reason for them to pay the extra points to have that guy on the field. And the fact that having wound counters in Warzone Eternal is a huge. There will be times in some games where you might have somebody important that's wounded that you're like, no, I'm not sticking my head out. I'm staying in cover. I'm not going anywhere. I'm waiting for my medic to get to me.
Yep.
And that, I think, is. If there's ever anything in a war game that is more narrative than a wounded model waiting for their medic, that's that. And especially in our game where you've got reaction fire and ambush fire, your opponent is going to be watching where that medic is going.
Yep.
So you're going to have those guys just standing there, be like, stick your head out.
I'm waiting for it. And this is what I wanted to say next. Is like my favorite Warzone Eternal feeling is it's a reactive game.
Yeah.
It's not like you're playing. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll through Instagram now. So yeah. I'm gonna save 6d6 worth of damage. No, you have to pay attention what's going on because your models can react to it. but they react only once, maybe twice, sometimes maybe more. But you have one reaction, and you have to make it count. Like,
Absolutely.
are you going to let this Venusian Ranger run across, or are you gonna pop him?
You know,
What you gonna do?
I just got shot at. Am I going to go ahead and spend my Mike, this guy's not going to be able to shoot anybody this turn. I'll duck for cover. I'll go ahead and make myself a little. Hopefully, I'll survive this shot. Or do I just hope the shot doesn't kill me and then I spend my reaction to shoot back? That's it's a I Alex and I wanted to make sure that reactions were big in this game. Period. Dot. End of conversation. But not quite set up. I don't want to throw another game under the bus, but the way that reactions work in Infinity is infuriating.
Oh yeah.
The fact that you can have one guy basically stand on top of a tower and have 77 reactions because I bought all of these schmucks that generate reactions it's honestly the mechanic that pushed me away from Infinity. Is I tried to play a close combat army and I was like, what do you mean your guy with the giant super death rifle can just infinitely react and kill my guys as I run out? I mean, it was like he was playing Space Invaders. It's like my space monkeys were running towards him and he's just knocking them down one at a time. And I was like, this is zero fun. And Alex said that from the very beginning. He was like, I want to make sure this is a game that keeps you engaged the whole time, that if you choose not to pay attention, your opponent can take advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
But we wanted to make sure that we cooked in a way to keep certain models that are really scary good from being the only model that does anything. You'll get to see this a little more when some of the bigger models come out, into the playtest, like Hurricane Walkers, Ezo Ghouls, Biogiants, some of those bigger stuff. Those guys are keyed in to do more on the battlefield, but still not. They're still not going to be the kind of thing that goes, I go and everyone dies.
Yeah. And even like big models like the Razite. Sorry, we call them Razites.
My whole life I call them Razides, and then Alex is the one that got me recently. He turned me into the Razid family.
Okay.
So, but I've been Razide my whole life. So
okay, Razid is like it's a big guy, like a big chunky guy with a big weapon. If you're gonna throw him against one trencher, of course the trencher is gonna go like.
Well, not if he's my Magic Dave trencher.
Perhaps
that guy will live.
But like the points Razid costs to field alone, you have to pay attention because you're losing on activations, you're losing on objectives. You have to pay attention to what you do.
Yeah.
It's very engaging. This is what I like the most. It's very engaging.
Good.
A very engaging game.
I love to hear that because as someone, I've played dozens of different minis games. One of the things that I think, I still play 40K quite a bit. I haven't played in a little while because I'm not, my army kind of sucks in this edition. But one of the things that we've said for at least the last 3 or 4 editions is that Warhammer 40K would be so much better if it was unit to unit to unit to unit, if it went back and forth instead of an entire wash of, my entire army takes my stuff, if it actually was a flowing game of ebbs and tides, it would be a completely different animal.
I remember I was playing at a local tournament. I had my elders and a chaos undivided army against me. He just plays first and alpha strikes me with like corn berserkers, and my guys are like Eldar, you're just gonna watch them wrong and they're gonna pop off.
Yep.
And I didn't play at all. He just went through and was like, and off I go.
There is such a terrible feeling of, I've spent all this time modeling and painting and this unit of guys or this particular vehicle or whatever. You get it on the field and in the first minute of the first round of the first game, someone goes, I'm gonna have my entire army shoot at that thing. All right, I guess it's dead. You
Yep.
know, and we were hoping, not only in a skirmish game it's harder to do something like that, but we were hoping in Warzone Eternal that because of the reactions, even if it's just that one chance of all right, after this first round of fire, if I live, I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna see what this gun can do. Like there's at least something you might be able to get away with.
And there's no shame in hiding. You
Oh
go,
God, no. Yeah, no.
you know you're going to play second. You gotta hide. Don't
Take
give them the
cover.
advantage.
Take
Yeah.
take advantage of cover. To peel back the onion a little bit, in the playtest secret room, there was a recent conversation where someone put up a cool picture of, how in this instance, this guy has X kind of obstruction to this guy, and was like, does that seem right? And almost everybody answered, yeah, no, that seems right. That sergeant is standing out in the open and needs to find cover now. And that's going to be this kind of game is if you want to be the super tank Attila, or the Razid that is like, my armor's huge, I got a bunch of wounds, I'm walking straight at you, awesome. You can feel free to go that route. But those little guys, those guys that can get popped off, one shot, one kill, they're going to want to take advantage of every bit of cover that they possibly can. Bullets suck, bullets hurt, and don't try not to get hit with them. That's effectively the best defense is to put something between you and what's shooting at you.
And you're playing an objective. Like, I remember being in one game almost completely tabled, but I won to the objective because I played the objective.
And that is something that I think there are. I can't speak for the European theater, but when it comes to American, almost the kind of the competitiveness of our tournament scenes tend to get a little deep. I'm trying to say this nicely, but I think some of that stems from, in the last 10 years, a bunch of games have come out that are checkmate style games where Privateer Press did it, where you kill the Warcaster, game over. I don't care about anything else that happens. If I kill that one dude, this game is done. And there are several other games that have set things up very similarly, where if I table my opponent, the objective is irrelevant. I win if you can't move any models. And I think not only narratively that sort of betrays the purpose of a larger narrative. There should be instances where Bauhaus sends that unit of forces into the jungle knowing they're not coming back. But as long as they got to the communications tower and blew it up like they were supposed to, your lives were not spent in vain. And that's the kind of thing that we want to be able to set those sorts of scenarios up. We want to create cool new narrative scenarios down the line that there might be instances where it's like, even if you have no models left on the field, your opponent still needs to play through all 5 turns, because if they can't do their objective, you win. That's that's the kind of concept that we wanted out of the victory system, rather than just ticking a box and saying, did you kill your friend? Did your opponent die? Yes. All right, you won. And yeah, of course, most scenarios will be easier to achieve if no one's shooting at you. But it shouldn't just be a default setting of enemy gone, I win. So I completely concur. Question number 7. If you could have one model or unit, in the case of like a group of models, added to the Kickstarter specifically, like, I will not answer yay or nay, but like literally anything out of the Mutant Chronicles Warzone universe, what would you like to see added if like suddenly we get $1 million stretch goal and Alex is like, I don't know, what should we do? And I go, well, Abby said.
you don't expect me to pick only one model, right? I mean, let's be real. I have many options, but like if you put a gun in my head, say you can only say once, or I should probably say Enigmas from the Dark Eden second edition. I remember like this very cool Kendo looking armor. Like they have very good.
It was from the Dark Eden book.
Yeah, Dark Eden book. They had like this really cool gun and enhanced close quarters combat, and like they had this aura of fear around them. Like everyone gets scared of them. Like they are badass. Like they are very cool,
All right.
very cool. But I'd like to see like Calistonian intruders or Sundancers, like because even the new scouts from Siege of the Citadel, they look amazing,
Mhm.
look very good. But I'd like to see what your guys are up to.
So the Calistonians were something that I actually liked the originals too. There are some that are dumpy, some old dumpy models that could use a new coat of paint. I always
Kind of
thought the
fate.
Sundance. Which one was that?
Kind of fate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought that because the Sundancer is the sniper, correct?
Yes,
I
correct.
I was trying to remember. I loved the sniper's gun. It's this tight, up close, very boxy rifle that's this giant barrel, and it's just like covered with like suppression ports, and I'm like that thing shoots like dowel rods, like this thing shoots rebar at you. I can just imagine that thing going off. It's like an anti-tank rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the Sundancer. I think the concept of the Sundancer having weird feeder tentacles is strange. I mean, your sniper that eats people. Okay, but yeah, okay, uh, but I loved that gun, and I loved it. The model had a great stance. Like you could tuck him into terrain, and that
Mm.
giant barrel would stick out of a tree or whatever. So good, so good.
Also, like dragoons by Bauhaus, like they have this wolf helmet. They look like there's so many units, man. I cannot pick one. Like, it's
So
impossible.
I love dragoons. I never played Bauhaus, but one of my close buddies was thick with Bauhaus, and I always loved the dragoons. I thought even when they I mean, there's some of the dorkiest looking original models, like they were super squat and their heads are huge, but yeah, I love knowing what we have already done, what our sculptors have already done with that older aesthetic to bring it into a more now feel. I want to see dragoons done that way. I want to see dragoons with that have that wolf helmet, like actually look like that it fits their head for a reason.
Mm.
The only trouble with dragoons is narratively they're deployed as part of armor columns, which
Yes.
means we need to it'll have to be something that comes a little later down the road when we start looking
Mm.
at strike skimmers and some of the more vehicular assets. Uh, but I would love, even if just to get a like one anti-tank specialist, like get one, the big like Panzerfaust, the big like I don't know, mini rocket launcher thing. I would love to have a dragoon, even just a one-off would be nice. So I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with you there, because I want to see our sculptors take take those old models, those old concepts, and go, here's a new fancy way to look at it.
Yeah. That'll be very cool. That'll be very cool.
Question number 8. As someone who has seen the rules in their nearly final form, I called it the 11th hour set of rules because we are
Mm.
so close to saying that they're like stamped seal approval. How easy do you think it will be for other wargamers, whether it's like someone new to the wargame altogether, or maybe somebody who has played games for a long time? How easy do you think they'll be able to pick this up and hit the ground running, so to speak?
So if for someone who's already had some experience in wargaming, I found it very easy to get into. Like my first couple of games were a bit slow because we were like reading through the book again. But on the third game, I think you should be ready to go.
Okay.
It shouldn't take to like. It has a very low point of entry to start playing, but a very high skill ceiling to master it, because there you have so many things to do. You have rage bands. You have to remember like what your opponent is fielding, so you can avoid their good rage bands until you're like, if you want to go all out.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It has a very high skill ceiling, but like it has very few keywords. Like there are of course keywords you need to remember for like in every other game, but like they make sense. Like when you read them, it makes sense. It's you can deduct what it means. You just need to remember
Okay. Okay.
plus two, plus three, whatever.
Well, and
Uh,
I know I'm hoping when we start talking about the different assets that are going to be as part of the main book, as part of the, you know, PDFs that are going to be available and that kind of stuff. I know one of the things that I want is I have one of the things that I remember from like third or fourth edition 40K, one of their starter boxes came with 2 cardboard cheat sheets that basically had little abridged versions of what, you know, what the tables were and how much you moved and what this stat means and stuff. While I don't think that it'll be necessary to put a bunch of special abilities and stuff on there, I think it would be nice to have a sheet that has the list of actions, the list of reactions, and then maybe like, you know, the wound table, you know, the just stuff that, yeah, eventually it'll become, you know, second nature.
Second nature, yeah.
But for somebody who is just getting started, that they can grab that piece of paper and go, okay, what can I do this turn? Can I interact? What do I interact with? Says objectives. Am I okay? It doesn't do anything. Okay, like I want someone to hopefully have that without necessarily having to sit there and page through a PDF or flip through a book to find those things. I want to have it, I think it'll be nice if we can have it as a nice little cardboard something, but I also don't know how physically large the starter packages and stuff are going to be, as far as when it comes to whether or not, if we could make a cheat sheet that's only, you know, like a 5x6 or something. That could be pretty cool. If the print was small, we can slide that in the starter box.
That would be awesome.
But I just don't know if that's something that either way. I know there will be a PDF that people can download to have just a piece of paper version, but I would love for it to be something a little more dense, something maybe laminated, you know, to have, especially if you're playing at a game store, or a game store is going to carry our stuff and have people play in the store a lot, that they could have those on hand to help people learn the game.
Yeah, but for a new player, I think the most like difficult in like quote marks will be the line of sight system, because it needs a little bit of getting used to. It like once you learn it, it's easy. Like there's not even a point of contest of if something is in line of sight or light or heavy obstruction, etc., etc. I think I prefer the previous version of line of sight, but only because I'm too lazy to go like to bend over.
I just don't want to stoop down.
Is it though? Yes, but other than that, it's very streamlined. I think it's maybe one read through of the rule book, and on the second game you're good to go.
Good.
That's what I mean.
Number 9. If you were a betting man, which faction starter, since you know what units are roughly in the faction starters, which faction starter do you think is going to be the take home, the one that when people start making that poll of I want this faction, I'm taking this faction, I'm taking this 4 factions. I mean, we'll get a bunch of people that'll be like, I'm buying everything, but the one that stands out, do you think that people will jump on?
So, I remember this poll from 2 years ago, and I think like Imperial or Bauhaus is going to be like up there, with a close second being the Dark Legion, because like their models are like the
People
rules
like
they have.
monsters.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna shoot. You're gonna play. The bad guys. This is why people play like Combined Army or Chaos or whatever.
Yep.
And like the models are strong. Like the rule,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new models apart from what's been out there, but like the rules they have, like it's amazing.
They they do the job. They do the job. All right. Then our last question is kind of the dummy question. Do you have any questions that you want to ask me that you might be able to get me to share while I'm on this camera?
Sure, how much time you have? So, like I've asked you before in one of Q&A, but it's easier to say, right? Like in this sort of situation, like I like to tell me like your thought process when you're designing a new model and like how you pricing it, and because I've tried doing it myself for semi. I think I've sent you the rules.
Mhm.
Just I was just want to mess around with the rules and see like what can I make. Just
You
and
you were closer. You were closer than you think you would be in a few things.
that's good. Oh, that's good. But it's a daunting experience. I remember like having all of the books, searching like special abilities and trying to make sure it's balanced and it's fair, but it's not bland and boring.
the I think the number one, well, honestly, the whole balanced and fair thing is a shot in the dark.
Mm.
And that is not even. I don't even want to try to tell you how the sausage is made. Some of those numbers are rough guesses to start, and it's literally we wait to hear back from the first. I'll get them on the table myself. I'll play a couple of games. Alex will take a look at it, and then once we're pretty sure that we're close, that's when they go out to the playtesters. And a lot of times we'll hear back. They'll be like, I would never take this guy as why would I ever take one semi heretic legionnaire when I can take three undead legionnaires with
Mm.
the cult rules? Why would I do that? Or the even within the same faction, you might have somebody that's like this guy does all of the same things that this guy does, but he costs more, and I can't figure out why. Uh,
Mm.
so that's where we normally have to look at it and go, okay, it's time to either tweak some things, or in some cases redesign them from the ground up. There are times where you look at somebody and go, okay, they're right. This guy does exactly the same thing as this other unit. Let's find a way to make this unit cool and different and worth buying. Not even just
Mm.
like as a point value system, but like as a profitability factor as a company. We don't want to make a unit that we know the game stores are going to have is going to sit on the shelf, because people are going to be like, I don't ever want to buy this guy because I can just do these guys.
Mm. Mm.
But when it comes to, we're lucky right now that Warzone has so much stuff already built for us to basically evolve and translate into Warzone Eternal, into our kind of create our own sort of version of them. But it gives us a nice grounding spot. We know that the automaton they're supposed to be fast, they're supposed to be reactive, they're supposed to be the kinds of troops that you send against Dark Legion suspect areas. They go and deal with cultists. They're not anti-tank warriors. They're not, you're not going to throw that Mortant against a Nephirite unless it's absolutely, necessary. I got to get that last wound on him. Uh, just like we were talking about Dragoons earlier, I'm not, whatever, when we eventually get around to the Dragoons, they're going to be heavily armored, probably inaccurate with their weapons because they're designed to shoot down anti-armor, other armored, stuff. But they're going to hit like a truck. They'll probably have benefits in close combat against larger things. They'll probably have cool sticky bombs. Like stuff that we know that they had in previous editions. We can then go, how do we make that ours? We
Mm.
don't want to just go, well, Hussars do the Hussar thing, and so this is what they are. For instance, Blitzers have Blitz. They have a special ability called Blitz that allows them to basically do this whole shoot and move, this like shoot commando move thing, and that's in previous editions. Blitzers were they had high speed, they had great guns, they were the run and gun troops already. In our game, that version of the run and gun doesn't quite translate well because our guys, because of the reaction system, it's hard to have somebody do two things at once. Because if I say I can move and fire in the same action, which one do I interrupt with my ambush?
Yeah.
How do I have to wait till you're done moving? But it's also part of a shooting, so do I have to wait until you're done shooting at me and then do a counterattack? So we couldn't do Blitz that way. So we had to do Blitz in a different facet that segments it out a little better, but still has that same feel of Blitzers are laying on the trigger and they're moving towards you, and they're never stop moving, get on top of the opponent and murder them within 8 inches. And that's, it takes it. There's a lot of back and forth. Very recently I told Alex that I came up with a mechanic for something that's not probably going to see the table in at least 2 years. That's killing me. That I want to see these models made because this mechanic is chef's kiss. It's perfect, and I know that's not going to happen for a long time, but I am confident that when it gets to playtesting, when it gets out to you guys, that you'll be able to at least give me the feedback that goes, either I'm right and this feels exactly like it's supposed to, or someone's going to come back and go, I don't know how this is supposed to work. Our table sort of froze. we sort of came to a conclusion that we don't know how this is supposed to go. And then I know that I need to clean up the language on it. I need to figure out how to make it, function.
Sorry, something is up, and
Oh, are we bandwidthing? Are we having problems with bandwidth? I think we are, which that's fine. Where did you lose me? Are you still there?
okay. I had like a fast forward happening. Yes, I got you. It just you're stuck, and then you just go like fast forward, and I got a lot of information in my
Okay. I don't know how that's going to record, so you know what? It's going to be a fun video moment where the gremlins have come to settle. But that's basically when it comes to the design aspects, we're very lucky with Warzone that there's so much groundwork already laid. There's so much narrative, and I'm very lucky. Yeah, I played the game. Yeah, I'm a Warzone connoisseur when it comes to the miniatures and stuff, and some of the Mutant Chronicles background. I've read a great deal of that, getting ready for this project and playing the games and things. But I am extremely fortunate in the fact that I have Alex. That when I put together a model and I send it over to Alex, I know for a fact that he's going to be able to look at this and go, this isn't right because of X. Or no, maybe we'll put a Grenadier with the Venusian Rangers in the future, but our basic Ranger, we're not going to have the alternate grenade underneath. They're going to have the regular rifles, not the augmented one.
Okay.
I know that I have Alex, and with few exceptions, generally speaking, when he says that it's supposed to be a certain way, I don't fight him on it. Like if he's like, these sacred warriors need to have this, then I go, all right, sacred warriors have this. We'll make that happen. But for the most part, I think I'm pretty okay at making sure that the old feel comes through. That there, eventually when we get down the road, there are definitely some units that were created in older Warzone that were designed to be fielded in larger groups that we are fielding in 1s and 2s. That you're almost going to get the hero version rather than the full blob troop type, because it always felt weird to field. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it openly. Alex, hate me if you want to. Uh, it always felt weird to have a pack of morning wolves. Morning wolves are
Mm.
supposed to be these, you know, their spouse, their loved one, they went off and died, and I couldn't get over it, and I became the crow. I painted it myself like the crow, and I'm going out to avenge my loved one. And it just always felt weird that there'd be that many of it's like either there would be a billion of them, like they would be just the field would be littered with morning wolves, or that they would be like a small, if they're going to be super cool and like, you know, they train all day, they never sleep, they take drugs to stay awake, you know, they the nightmares haunt them of their spouse's demise, then maybe just have one of them and have them be super badass. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I would rather see that than every single wolfbane that died, their husband or wife puts on the paint and they're everywhere. You know, I just that's my that's I guess that's my thing is there will be a few, not so much translations, because it's still going to be the same type of unit. You know, claws, chains, rifle, very fast. I get up there and I punish you for being close to me. That's not going to change,
Mhm.
but maybe the degree of how good they are at it, or maybe they'll have a special new trick up their sleeve that they didn't have in past editions, or in some cases maybe something that they used to do in past editions that doesn't really work out real well in Warzone Eternal gets replaced with something else. uh you know, when eventually you guys get to see the art from the Brotherhood and the dark gifts from the Dark Legion, um when you get to see how the symmetry works and stuff. In past editions, there were all kinds of crazy spells and things that you had to memorize and you had to look up, and things are definitely different with the way the new sets of rules that are going to be coming down. But we were hoping to keep that same feel, without turning it into you got to bring your binder with you to make sure you have all of your spells.
Yeah,
So that's that's where that goes.
yeah. And like one other question,
Yep.
I'm like very curious, because like as playtesters, like we talk a little bit amongst ourselves, but we're not like destroying each other, like polluting each other's testing too much.
Mhm.
But is like, do you notice any trends between different groups of testers? Like,
Yes.
is there? Okay, I'm very curious about that because, like, I might pop to certain people some messages because I'm having some issues with some rules or whatever. But that's about it. We don't like change complete opinions.
There, I would say the different cells of playtesters. Um, if there's probably like three different camps. There are those who they really do play for fun. Like if they're having a good time, it doesn't matter how, if something's bad, they'll say, hey, this, we didn't like how this worked out, but here's the lists and I look at them and I look at the lists and I go, oh, okay, that's kind of like a list that I would field, you know. Or maybe somebody does the fun, I gave it a try, I did 18 undead legionnaires and a centurion and I got slaughtered, but it was fun. You know, there's that kind of camp. There are the very heavy focused rules people, the ones that are, I've decided I want to find out if the tactical fire for grenades is necessary. Do we even need it? And so my entire army, I'm going to have make sure I have as many guys with grenades as possible. You know, there's that kind of focus, and then there are the people who specifically go, if I were to bring this to a tournament and crush my opponents, club all the baby seals, you know, I want children to go home and burn their models because they never want to play this game again. That's the force I'm going to build. There are playtesters that focus that way as well. um
Mhm.
and I think between the three, we get a real good cross section of what the game is capable of. Um, I know personally, I have a lean towards a certain. I definitely have a lean that It isn't that I don't listen to certain versions, but I give more credence to people who play the game in whole, than rather than someone who is like, I'm only gonna do this one thing all the time, every time. Uh, but as playtesters, it's our job to listen to everybody, and at least understand that even that guy who's building the baby seal clubbing list, he's doing it to try and prove a point.
Mm.
He's doing it to go, this is possible, and if it's possible, there will be gamers out there that do it, and it's gonna suck. Now, from a business standpoint, I look at that and go, okay, we need to take that information and we need to adjust. We have to figure out how to make that work, how to maybe, if not make it impossible to do, make it so it's, whether it's the scenarios in the game that make that harder to be, the all Razid army. Yes, you're brutal and it's awesome, but it's not necessarily the most objective winningest force. But I do that, from a business standpoint, we got to look at that. From a play standpoint, I look at that and I go, I would only ever stand across from that once. If one of my players, if one of my friends, if I went to the game store to a tournament or something, and somebody sat down with just a brutal, I wrenched every bit of fun I could out of this list, but this is gonna win. They're probably going to take that day and they're going to win, and it's going to be amazing. But that's not doing the game any service by having that be the big flag wave. So we take that into consideration, that if it's taking the fun out of the game, the whole point of this is to be fun.
Yeah.
And if it's taking the fun out of the game, that we have to try and find a way to adjust it so it's either harder to do, or take some of the wind out of their sails through the scenarios, through, if we ever get around to making tournaments, like organized play kits, we make sure that maybe certain organized play kits, if you're doing like a big structured tournament, maybe that tournament has a special rule involved where you have model limitations. These are things that can be, other tournaments, other games have done it before and it's worked out just fine. But when it comes to the regular everyday game, I think that the playtesting that we have collectively of the I think at this point we're up to about 6 or 7 total teams of playtesters, that I can think of off the top of my head, and I think the responses that we get, the collective answers that we get from them, is such a nice wide variety of cross sections that Alex and I can then go back and compare, our own personal notes. This is what we've found, and sometimes it'll be most recently there was something that came up in the playtester secret group that I read the reports and I was like, I don't understand why this is happening. I couldn't get my brain around it. I was like, why is this a thing? And in Alex and I's sit down, we chit chatted about it, and I was like, because I was going off of a house rule that I had not fully implemented yet in text. Basically, something that I was trying out in my games, and it was working just fine. I'm like, I don't understand why everyone's having this issue. Why is this the case? And Alex is like, because this is what's happening. Like, but if you only do this once around, he's like, but you can do it more than once around. And I was like, but oh,
Shoot.
perhaps we should amend. and so it is nice to have this giant scope of different play styles. The only thing that I think I would like to have, if I could basically just conjure a playtest group, boing, and say this is, I wish I could have someone who was a group of people who, they wouldn't be great playtesters of the rules themselves, but I would love for it to be a group of like three or four or five guys, gals, and everything in between that have never played a war game.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
I would love for them to basically get a week to sit down, read the book, see if they understand, and then just basically go, all right, did you guys manage to play a game? Did it work out to you? Did you have a good time? Did someone walk away screaming and there is now a divorce on the table? Like what happened when you guys got Warzone Eternal in your fingers? That's, I think, if I had my druthers, if I could conjure up a group of like 5 elves and say, this is what I want, that's what I would do. Is I would love complete war game virgins and see if they can play the game, if they can understand the rules, if they're written well enough, and most importantly, even if they're playing the game wrong, most importantly, if they had fun. That's that. I've said this 1,000 times before. Is I'm not going to come to your house and tell you, slap the D20 out of your hand and say, no, you can't do the game that way. Is if you're having a good time and you go onto our Facebook group and go, I love Warzone Eternal. And maybe you might say, when I was fielding my 15 Razides, and they go, what? You can't do that. And he's like, but in our table, you can. If they're having a good time, as long as they're not teaching other people to like specifically break the rules or whatever, like if you're just enjoying yourself, then rock and roll. You're playing the game. If you come to a tournament and you're like, we play this way at my house, the tournament's going to tell you otherwise. The tournament organizer is going to go, you got to play by the actual rules. But I think that's what I want. I want it and I'm hoping, to come all the way full circle to what we were talking about before we actually started recording, is Adepticon being next week. Yes, we're going to get a lot of people who play a lot of war games that are going to swing by and do demos and stuff. I will be interested because there will be a handful of people that might be, my buddy plays games, I haven't played any, show us how to play. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is to see some of these people see Warzone Eternal for the first time, get to move some minis around, see the minis for the first time. Like it's gonna be a lot of tension, a lot of excitement.
Please take photos.
So one of the guys we brought on, like specifically we brought on the team with Resnova, is Richard Ankney. And Richard has it. Rick. He is a like media mogul. He runs like 120 TikToks for the game industry. He has been part of magazines and videos, and he like this is his job. He has done this for 20 years, I think, as far as like doing game industry media. So the fact that and he says this is his first Adepticon, which boggles my mind because I'm pretty sure I've seen him there before, and he may have just been pulling my leg. But he says that this is his first Adepticon, is the one he's coming with us. He's going to be there next week. All 4 of us, all 4 of the actual like staff members are going to be at the booth of the Adepticon. And if Rick's there will be a camera nearby. He'll have 12 different cell phones running TikToks, and so I know that there will be some footage running around after at the show. I'm going to do my best to try and upload what I can while I can. So I would say watch my Facebook, watch the Warzone Facebook, watch the Resnova Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, because Rick runs most of those. So the things that he's picking up, he's going to be sending that stuff forward. So I suspect that there's going to be a lot of activity on the pages next week.
That would be awesome.
Honestly, I just can't wait to see. So we had the illustrious Dave Taylor. Dave Taylor's a very famous miniature painter. He's done a bunch of terrain books and things. He was my partner back when we ran Dark Age. We had Dave build our Adepticon demo table. And I got to see like 6 square inches of it. so far. So I'm dying. I cannot wait to see, because I saw the sketch of what it was going to look like when he sent us the sketch of here's what I'm going to build. I can't wait to see the final product. So there will be
That
pictures.
that'll be awesome. That'll be
Yeah.
awesome. And last like small question is like,
Oh,
how overwhelming was it for you to like collect the data from like our different groups, because everyone like was reporting differently and with different formats, and like
it's
I remember like I read our first few reports last
it's
night and I was
it
like, it was super detailed, like oh my god.
um so uh it's still a nightmare. It's still not easy. I do think I kind of wish that I would have made a standardized playtest form, like please give us your responses in this format. But I also know that from being part of playtests in for other games and other companies, I also know that the more restrictive you are in how people can tell you their findings, the lesser amounts of findings you get. If there will be groups that if I can't let them just email me stream of consciousness, uh, if I force them to write it up in a form into this thing, I might get one form a month. But if I tell them play some games, tell me how they go, I'll get an email every week.
Mm.
So I want to say that it would be awesome to be completely formalized and but I think especially at this point in Resnova's kind of career is all the data we can get is good. Sifting through it and figuring out how it works, that's just part of the job. Maybe once the game gets off the ground and then from there on out it's mostly just playtesting of like specific units. The rules are set and it's just, hey, are these units good? I'll probably come up with a form then, because by the time those units ever see playtesters, they've already been kind of scrubbed and washed a couple of times, so we know they're close when they get to you guys in the first place. It's right now it's just there's so much of the inner workings of the rules that we have to make sure are good, that I just want people to deliver the info. I don't care, text it to me, I don't even care, just bring it in. Please don't text it to me, I was kidding. Yeah, totally joking. I just realized what door I just opened. But yeah, so aside from that, I think that brings us to a wrap on the
Yeah,
Q&A with a gamer, or in this case, a playtester, who are one and the same. So first off, thank you for giving me your time, giving me your night, to answer all these crazy questions, and give me some questions of your own. If you have any questions for Abby, put them in the comment section of this video, or go to the Warzone Eternal Facebook page, become a member. We are allowing all members at this point. We are no longer policing who can join. For a while there, we were making sure that because we had a lot of spam bots, a lot of spoofs. But now we've opened the gates and people can come in and be part of the conversation. And obviously watch this space for more Warzone Eternal news next week. I'm gonna talk about this in the outro. So if they were to try and find you, if they wanted to send you a message or talk to you or maybe be your best friend, how would they do that?
well, first in the Warzone Eternal group, I guess, but I'm pretty cognito on social media, because of reasons. But yeah, sure. Like, well, on Facebook, I don't know what are the kids playing with these days. I don't have TikTok or anything, so
That's fine.
I'm boring like that.
If they can find you on Facebook, you are the only Averkios that's on Facebook.
You'd be surprised.
I mean specifically in the Warzone group. if they go to the Warzone Eternal Facebook group, they will be able to talk to you, send you messages, tell you how amazing you did, and so forth and so on. But if it's just a quick little comment or a message or a question, start the conversation below in the comment section for this video, and it also adds you to the comment raffle for the month. So double whammy. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
I look forward to hearing your next round of awesomeness as soon as Alex gets out the next version of the rules.
That'd be awesome. And small disclaimer: I'm still in NDA, so there will be no leaks for anyone who's going to try. So send all the notifications you want. I'm not breaking, boy.
Thanks for that. All right. We will for the rest of the viewers, I will see you here in just a couple of seconds when I do the outro. But for you, Avi, we will see you around. Thanks for coming
Good
on.
night or good day or whatever. Thank you.
Now, wasn't that cool? I know you just saw me and whatever, but that was awesome. It was nice to talk to someone who has been part of the process. He was very flattering in some places, so it was really cool to hopefully shed a little light on the process, give people that a little bit of give you Warzone fans a little bit of a preview as to what all we're putting into this, like what the extra non-Res Nova help that's going into this project, what they're bringing to the table. No pun intended. I really enjoyed that talk. I like doing Q&A with a gamer. The Q&A with a playtester was interesting. I hope that you enjoyed it. And maybe we'll get a chance to do more of those in the future as the games progress and whatnot. Before I go, I want to make sure that I talked about it during the interview briefly, but so Adepticon is next week. It is a big show for us because it's the first time that we're showing Warzone publicly to the people. The first time that non-playtesters or internal staff are going to get a chance to play. Expect maybe I might be able to upload a few short videos, maybe some interviews. I'm going to try and take a bunch of video and a bunch of stills and stuff while I'm there, but make sure you watch all the different social medias to see what other people are saying about Warzone Eternal. But either way, I am not going to be doing a video next week because I'm going to be neck deep in Adepticon. But then the following week, I will do the Adepticon follow-up and hopefully show you a bunch of pictures, show you the stuff that I'm allowed to talk about, that kind of thing. Now that we kind of pulled the, pulled the cloche off and you got to see the fancy dinner. So that video in 2 weeks, will let me look at my calendar. Is that going to be the last March, or is that going to be... Yes. So in 2 weeks, that'll be the last March. It'll actually come out on the 31st, which means you will have this video and then that video to be part of the comment raffle as well. Either way, I am super excited for Adepticon. I'm super excited to get to show you some more things as things progress. We're in that final stretch. We're down to the last 6 weeks or so before the Kickstarter. So let's go. I love you guys. I love all of you out there. Thanks for sticking with us. I know this was a long episode, but that conversation with Abby was really good. Go ahead and leave your comments, like, share, subscribe. You know how all that goes. But please be safe. Get vaccinated. Get boosted. Wear a mask if you have to. Don't drink and drive. All the safety type stuff. But go ahead and make sure that try to leave every room that you enter just a little bit happier than when you leave. And wait. I screwed up my own saying. Leave every room happier than when you got there, is what I meant to say. It's been a long night. Yeah, you know what? You know what I say. You know my catchphrases. Whatever the case may be, I will see you in 2 weeks, and you know I will be. So please go out there and play some games. We will see you in 2.